For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Hope you survived your Christmas season, everybody. And again, happy holidays to you. I don't want to offend everybody by leaving that out, as we know it's touchy these days. I've had that discussion before, and I think a lot of people are starting to have that discussion. If somebody wished me happy Kwanzaa or happy St. Patrick's Day, and I don't necessarily celebrate them, I'm not offended by that. I take it. I hear that as, I'm wishing you well. I'm hoping you have a great day. I'm wanting to say something nice to you. I don't get offended. I really don't. I'm not Jewish, but okay, happy Hanukkah, thanks. I'll take that. I will take it. Maybe people just need to be a little bit more positive in today's world. Maybe that'll be your New Year's resolution, right? Don't get so easily offended. And you don't need me to tell you how people are so easily offended. Here's the deal. I'm on a roll with my opinions today, so that's what we're going to do for 30 minutes. I'm going to just go on some rants about what's on my mind. We'll get into it right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. I'm going to address something now that probably listeners, let's say, I don't even know, at least 30 years old can probably relate to. And I feel old. As you get older, I'm going to be turning 35 this year. And now I'm kind of getting that whole, I got a tightness in my neck, and my shoulder this morning, and whatever. It's happening to me. Now, I'm not complaining about it every day. I just keep it to myself, because when you start vocalizing it and complaining to people, then you're old, right? So I don't really say anything to anybody. It's like, yeah, you know what, I just slept wrong or whatever, and I've got a kink in my neck, and that's fine. So the other day, I was upstairs in my bedroom. My bedroom is the entire upstairs, like it's a big loft area. And so I hadn't just woken up. It was early evening anyway. Was I napping? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, so I was sitting on the bed or laying on the bed, whatever it was. I got up and then I started to walk down the stairs. And if you've ever had too much to drink, you know that feeling of, I better grab onto the railing or the wall or something if I'm going down these stairs because this is treacherous. But I had the moment, the day that I'm talking about, I had the moment and I hadn't consumed any alcohol at all. Like, we're talking not even a drop of booze in my system for probably, now I gotta think, probably even maybe like 2 weeks before that. So we're talking like stone cold sober for a good 2 weeks before I had this incident where I almost kind of fell down the stairs. So I get up and there's about 3 steps that go down, and then there's kind of a platform, and then you turn around, and then you go down the other way, right? And there's like 10 steps that way. So it was that first 3 steps where I was like, whoa, and kind of like had to almost grab the wall. Like, it was just, and in my head, it wasn't quite dizzy, but it was just like that, whoa, you're drunk kind of a feeling. And then about 2 seconds later, I was like, I haven't been drinking, so what is this? And then as I slowly took my time down the rest of the 10 stairs, whatever it is, I came to that realization of, this is an old thing. This is an age thing. I haven't had anything to drink, but I was just dizzy for some reason. And so you heard those jokes on like Golden Girls or those other shows when they're making fun of somebody who's old, and it's like, oh, you don't get up too fast because you get dizzy. Oh, you're gonna get lightheaded, whatever. And sure enough, it happened to me. So it was a one-time thing. Now here's the deal: if it ends up happening, one more time in the next couple of months, let's say if it happens again in the next 3 months, then I'll be a little bit concerned about it. If it happens tomorrow, I'm going to the doctor and I'm installing like guardrails on every platform on my property. So I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but again, not a drop of alcohol was consumed, but you have that feeling like you're drunk and you almost fall down the stairs. Send me an email. I don't want to feel alone on this. I want to have some kind of support. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. And if you're older than 30, 35, then tell me what else I can look forward to, because I want to know what's happening. And I think men and women experience different things as well as they age. Different things happen to their bodies, you know that. And I like, what else should I be prepared for? What should I be expecting here? I'm kind of excited for it, because here's the deal. I'm one of those people who say, you're only as old as you feel, right? It's cliche. When I turned 30, so 5 years ago, when I turned 30, everybody was making fun of me because it's 30. It's the big 3-0. Oh, you're over the hill. Oh, whatever. And we were taping our syndicated radio shows in Nova Scotia that summer. So I actually celebrated my 30th birthday in Nova Scotia. And we had a birthday party for me. And the people that were hosting part of the trip with us, or for us, did not believe that I was 30. And it wasn't just like complimentary flattery. They really didn't believe that I was turning 30, which is great. So there you've got these people who are being positive and saying, oh my God, you look good for 30. Wow, I was going to say 24 or 25. And they legitimately felt that way, as opposed to then your family members, your coworkers, whatever it is, that are razzing you because you're turning 30 now. So people who don't know you are much more sincere, it seems, when you have a milestone birthday like that. So my big thing is, you can make fun of me and say, oh, ho, ho, you're 30, oh, you're an old man. But at the same time, if I still look like I'm mid-20s, 20-some, whatever, early 30s even I'll take, then that's great. If I have the aches and pains and complain about it, and I can sense that the weather there's going to be a storm because my elbow is hurting, and that I'm yelling at the kids across the street for playing on my grass, or whatever it is, then I'm old, then I'll accept it, then yes, make fun of me and call me a miserable old man. But if I still feel like drinking until 4 a.m., being up at 8 o'clock to be on the radio the next morning and do it like a trooper and not complain, then who's to say that you're an old man over the hill, whatever. If you feel that way and you tell yourself that you are old, in pain, miserable, whatever, then I really think that you start to live it then at that point. So for me, turning 35, this is a true story as well. We have to get going, I know, but it was actually yesterday when I was sitting at my computer at home, and I was thinking about my birthday and what I plan to do this year and whatever. And I sat there going, I'm getting close to 40, but I don't feel that way at all. If anything, I don't want to say I feel like a teenager, because that's implying young, immature, juvenile, whatever. I grew up very quickly. So for me, I'm just sitting there going, wow, I'm like really closer. I'm closer to 40 than I am to 20. But yet I feel like I'm closer to 20 just in terms of like looks and the way my life has gone. I've been doing radio for 11 and a half years now, and writing for a newspaper for 12 years. I've been a newspaper columnist. And I flash back to those days going, okay, wait, so I started that when I was living with my parents still. I hadn't done this. I hadn't accomplished this. This was still 5 years away. This was still however many years away. So to reflect on that and go, holy crap, I'm turning 35. I don't feel that way, because I guess when I was a kid growing up and I was a teenager and I was looking at my aunts and uncles, and they weren't 35 that I can recall. I was too young when they were 35 is what I mean. But I just remember it being kind of like, whoa, that they're an adult. They're 35. They're a grown up. That's not they're old in a disrespectful or rude way, but that's, they're older than me. I'm 12 or whatever it is. And now I'm going to be that age, and of course they're 50, 55, 60, right? My aunts and uncles now. But it still seems like they're the adult and I'm still the kid, even though I'm, like I said, going to be 35. My brother turning 40 this fall. It just doesn't seem like that, right? Like you separate the generations. They're the adults, we're the kids still, even though we're 40. And there's a whole new generation of kids under us now, right? So, enough about age. Send me an email live@jbonair.com.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. So I've been a newspaper columnist now for, it'll be 12 years in September. I went to school for journalism, took journalism, broadcasting, advertising, all those types of programs that you needed to in this industry. And so now with the internet and, well, social media, I guess, to a point, but the internet anyway, journalism and writing newspaper columns has now morphed into blogging and then broadcasting, traditional broadcasting, right? Like radio, television, things like that, are now supplemented with YouTube and podcasts. You're listening to one right now. And so it's kind of interesting that old school people like me, who went to school, let me think, almost 15 years ago, to college I'm talking, we have this mentality when we started out in the business that, and our instructors told us that you want to get a job with one of the big companies. That's when you've made it. You're a legitimate journalist. You're working for one of the big guys. There you go. And now with the internet, and I've seen it over the course of 12 years since I've been a columnist with at least one newspaper, that it's kind of different now because now there's blogs. And so people in this industry sort of look at blogging as, and many people, I'm saying, not everybody, but many people look at blogging as kind of the lesser form of journalism. Blogging is more just, I've got an opinion and I'm going to spew it out there. Ditto for broadcasting, because everybody's a broadcaster now thanks to YouTube and live streaming and all of these different kinds of things. So that's where we kind of have this separation now of the people who have been trained in the industry, and I'm not even getting into the whole fake news debate, that's not where I'm going with this, but the people who've been trained in the industry who have that belief that journalism needs to be balanced and getting more than one source of information and verifying facts and things like that, as opposed to now these people who will just spew whatever and rant about anything. And so it seems like there are more and more people now, and the reason it seems that way is because we have such access to blogs, video, YouTube, what have you, that people are doing it to be controversial. So when, you remember weeks ago, however long ago it was, Megyn Kelly is interviewing Alex Jones. And he's just this loudmouth who sounds like he's gargling, and he says things for the sake of saying things. And I sort of feel like it's his shtick. That's what he's known for. And I'm not singling him out because, in all honesty, until there was the hubbub about him being on the NBC show, I really didn't know anything about him. So I'm not saying that I'm a fan one way or the other. I really knew very little about him until that point. So then you've got somebody, or people like the cast of The View, right? You've got Whoopi, Joy, Sunny, Jedediah, I think is the name. And so I feel like when they're having a debate about any topic, but mostly it's about Trump these days, that there's one or two of them, at least one of them anyway, that just disagrees for the sake of disagreeing. And I feel like I never know where she stands if she's going to side with the rest of the debate or if she's going to have some other opinion. And that's what I found, is that just when I kind of start to like her and go, you know what, I do kind of agree with her on things, then she'll just be so bizarrely different on another opinion or element that I'm kind of like, whoa, now I don't like her. So that's where it starts to make me wonder, is she just doing it for the sake of disagreeing and being controversial? So when I started to write my newspaper column 12 years ago, and I've never, by the way, written a blog, and actually that was offensive to me when somebody had said, I read your blog before, and I was like, no, excuse me, paid newspaper columnist, thank you. But, I was writing newspaper columns that sometimes weren't necessarily my opinion because, again, back in the day, before social media and all of these platforms that people had, you were a newspaper columnist because you wanted to prompt letters to the editor, right? You wanted to have something either so outrageous, something so outlandish that people either disagreed with you very strongly or agreed with you strongly and felt compelled to take a moment and comment to the newspaper. That was the newspaper columnist's role, was to incite some kind of reaction out of you and get you to communicate with the newspaper. And so these bloggers or these ranting, raving, lunatic, conservative radio hosts, I can't even say conservative because I don't know much about them. I honestly, by the way, I'm 30-some years old. I still don't know what the left and the right means when it comes to politics. And I want to go the rest of my life with not knowing. I really don't give a crap about it. You have your beliefs and your opinions about what you believe and what your opinion is, and go with it. I don't believe that you fall into this, well, you're on this side, you're that side, you're left of center, you're whatever. I don't give a damn about any of that stuff, and I promise you I will never learn what those mean. So anyway, but I just feel like there's this whole reaction that people are wanting to get when they go on a rant or they post a blog or whatever it is, and that's what's getting attention. So people are going to continue doing that. And that's great, but at the same time, that's what you're going to be known for, is just being somebody who's difficult and opinionated, and that's the reputation you get. Now, maybe that is just a persona that you have, because that's who you are as your character, right? Just like you see some celebrities are known as a diva or a bitch or whatever. Are they really like that? Who knows? But that's the public image that they put off. So I'm fascinated when I see these like amateur blogs and people are making an argument and thrashing and feeling like they've got all these facts and what have you, and there's typos, or when they're speaking and they're spewing out their hatred, or hatred is a good word for it, that they've got poor grammar, or again, like I said, in the blog they've got spelling, and their headline for their column or whatever it is that they've written, the word its is its and not it apostrophe s like it should be. And to me, it totally discredits you. You can have the best argument in the world, but me, somebody who's educated and has gone through communications school and all that other stuff, is going to look at you and go, I'm not going to take you seriously because you don't know the basic word in your headline. And so somebody a few weeks ago had sent me a message on Twitter asking me to check out his blog and if I had any advice. And it was so funny because I'm, again, one of those people who takes writing seriously, that I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was. And when I say bad, I mean in terms of, grammar, spelling, what have you. His opinions were great. He made a really good point. But me, as a reader who is educated and knows Associated Press style of writing and Canadian Press style of writing and all these different things, and basic grammar anyway, I couldn't get past that as I'm reading it. And so I was gentle at first, because I said, yeah, sure, I'll give it a read and see. I thought he was meaning just take a look at my points that I'm making and see if did I make a valid argument, sort of a thing. Instead, I was so distracted by the spelling and the grammar that I ended up stopping reading it. And then I messaged him back and I said, it's a great attempt, but here's the deal. I now have a rule. That if I'm reading an article online, article, blog, column, whatever you want to call it, if I'm reading that and there are 2 mistakes, I'm kind of on the edge. The third mistake, I'm clicking off and I'm never going to it again. I would go to it again if I'm feeling in a mood like I want to be a dick and I want to have a good laugh at your stupidity, then I would do it. But it's it's fascinating because there are some mornings when I will go onto the CNN website. And again, I'm not talking about fake news. I'm not getting into that. But I'll go to the CNN website, and they have very, very long stories. Their articles are very long on there. There was about a 2-week period where I would read, I'd say maybe about 6 or 8 stories first thing in the morning. Each day, those 8 stories, 6 or whatever, so a total of 40-some articles. Each day, there was at least one typo in their news stories. again, not debating the whole, well, they're fake news and that's why blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm getting at. But my point is there's just this, I don't even know if it's an inability. There's just this, people don't have a need for perfection when it comes to something like that. And so for me, I've always been that way. When I wrote a book, my very first book, I wrote, and my brother is not a reader. My brother texted me out of nowhere one evening. I was just at home all of a sudden, and he's like, the shoe is on the other food. I had no idea what he was talking about. I didn't even know that he had my book, because again, he's not a reader. I was mortified that we've got this book out, my company, we have this book out, and I think we had just ordered 80 some copies for an event or some whatever. And I have to make this decision of, it is one wrong word in the book. One on page, whatever it was, 184, let's say. I have that decision of, do I leave this book out there and just hope that most people are going to be reading it quickly and won't notice that foot is actually food on the page? And because I'm a perfectionist like that, I insisted that we have all of the books reprinted. And the stores that the book was in, I had them pulled. And it, yes, went to the expense of having them reprinted and reshipped to stores because of that one word being wrong. I just insisted on it. Like, to me, there's no excuse for poor grammar, especially in the news business, where, to me, it just shows that you lack credibility, I feel. You can have the greatest reporting ever, but then you're proofreading. Like, if you don't have an editor, if you don't have somebody else going through it, like, your facts, I think, are only as good as your spelling and grammar. Like, again, I'm by no means a grammar Nazi. That's not where I'm going with this either. But at the same time, what I'm saying is, when it comes to these blogs and podcast ranting people who just are spewing out something from their parents' basement or whatever it is, and what started this whole thing was that I was sent a link to a podcast to check out, and again, it's just very amateur. People are using, I don't know if it's an iPhone to record the audio or some little product, and feel that they have an audience. There was also a guy on YouTube, this is about a year or so ago, who was making these videos. It was similar to a Joan Rivers shtick that she was doing on YouTube, and the guy was doing it, and he had a page on YouTube, or a channel on YouTube, and was preparing all of, like, you know, I'm dressing the set, which was his bedroom, and he's got, you know, candles, and I guess he had a dimmed light, so it was like, you know, oh, well, this is 5 minutes before taping, whatever, and it's like, you're in a bedroom in presumably your parents' house, or your apartment with your friends, whatever it is. This is not a set, it's your bedroom, and then he took, like, a picture from his vantage point, so him sitting on the bed looking at the camera, and it was basically just a digital camera on a tripod, and he had pieces of paper taped, I guess, up as cue cards. And then he had guests, and he was sitting on his bed with his friends talking, and he just took it very seriously that this is season 1 of whatever the show was called, and, you know, season 1's already done, and we've got 5 episodes, and season 2 is coming, and I was just like, whoa, that's really weird, because you're treating it like it's an actual television show. But in that respect, a television show is at least 6 episodes for the most part. And the next season doesn't start a month later. The next season starts, 6 months, maybe next year. And I'm just dumbfounded. I don't find it entertaining. That's why I'm not spending hours on YouTube and subscribing to all these podcasts, because I don't get it. I'm one of those people who, if I hear about a clip on The View or Stephen Colbert or Howard Stern, whatever it is, I'll go to YouTube, find the clip, listen to that one, and that's that. And there's only a small group of people that I would consider entertaining to me because they're from that old school of broadcasting. Again, so those names that I've listed are part of them. But again, when it comes to blogs and things like that, like, if you've got 3 mistakes, I'm never going back to your blog. And again, that's just me, but at the same time, I know there's a growing number of people that feel that way when it comes to English. I mean, when you look at texting lingo and social media, I've had people go and say, oh, well, it's social media, it doesn't matter. Well, why would it not matter? That'd be like saying you're going to take your car in for a tune-up, but I'm not going on a road trip, I'm just going around the corner, so it doesn't matter if the brakes don't work. Yeah, it kind of does, really. So, all right, that's my, what are we on, 13 and a half minutes for that rant. I do apologize. No, I don't apologize. I'm not going to be feeling sorry about my opinions that I have. But I definitely would love to hear yours. If you have a blog, send me the link live at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Jeremy Bradley here on the Scribble, again at thescribbleshow.com. Now, we were having a discussion here the other day, probably not workplace safe or workplace appropriate, I would say, but you know what? We just discuss different topics and ideas and things. And in all honesty, and in a creative work environment like we have, it might be okay. So it was about nudity and sex, and we were talking about people who are exhibitionists. We were talking about nude beaches. We were talking about sex in public. We were talking about a bunch of things. And so it was done in a grown-up way. We weren't being, crude about it. But there was this discussion about if you're on a nude beach and you're out in public and everybody's got camera phones and everything like that, is it okay to, snap some pictures of people in all of their nakedness? Now, there's two sides to that debate, right? The people who say, sure, why not? They're out in public. Anything's fair game in public. And then there's that other side who there might be part of the nudist, not philosophy, state of mind, lifestyle. And they're like, no, it's just an unspoken rule. You just don't do that. It's just not cool. So what do you think? Send an email. I'd love to know your thoughts. live@jbonair.com. These people, I don't want to say that a nudist is an exhibitionist, because I don't believe that that's the same thing. I think exhibitionist is somebody who's going around purposely showing you, as opposed to a nudist who just enjoys being naked and free, not necessarily gawked at, right? Because a nudist could be somebody who's just out in the woods on their own, in an open field, doing whatever, and then an exhibitionist is somebody who's wanting to be looked at. So I get the distinction and the difference. I am neither, thankfully, just in case any of you were thinking that's how this whole thing started. But is it okay to snap some pictures of people when they're out in public? It's not like you're peering through their windows and snapping pictures inside their home. That's completely different. But you're on a nude beach, it's public, anybody can go there, anybody can see. What do you think of that? live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. And then on the flip side of that, now we are going to talk about people perhaps in the privacy of their own home, is maybe you're walking down the street, and there's plenty of times when I'm walking my dogs down the street, and you just happen to glance over to a house, and you can see inside, right? You can see people watching TV, you can see whatever going on inside. So you're passing a house, and you see two people having sex in the house. Again, what's your take on that? Is it okay to watch? Do you snap a picture and go, holy crap, you gotta see this? What do you do? Is there etiquette for something like this? Again, people can realize that if I'm in my house and my curtains are open, people can see, right? I mean, you're doing it in the privacy of your own home, so I understand that argument. But what are your thoughts on that? Now, I'm not saying taking pictures inside somebody's house, because I know that paparazzi gets in trouble if they, do that outside of somebody's property. But again, are they being exhibitionists at the same time? You don't know if they're wanting to be seen or not, right? That could be part of the fun or the thrill of what they're doing. Part of it. I'm hoping there's more of a thrill to sex than just the thrill of being seen, But what are your thoughts? live@jbonair.com. Now, what if they were doing this on a nude beach then? Is it okay? And I always fear something like that these people are videotaping themselves already, and that if I'm going to be watching in the background or passing by, that I'm going to be in their video, even though I'm not the one doing anything. I'm going to be like that guy that kind of gives them that weird glance and is like, oh my god, what are you people doing? Oh my god, you are way too unattractive to be doing this in public. That kind of a judgment sort of thing. But yeah, now I'm going to end up on all these websites because they've posted their romp for the world to see. So again, is it fair game to take pictures of people when they're out in public, if they're naked, if you whatever, or is it just not kosher to do something like that? Is there an unspoken rule that a nudist is just kind of left alone, or is a nudist not that far off from an exhibitionist? I don't think there's any real true definitions. It's just my opinion or my thoughts on it. We've had a discussion here internally, maturely, nothing inappropriate, no Bill O'Reilly type chatter on this one, but would love to know your thoughts. Live at jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Oh, just a quick moment to catch my breath. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,